Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into something really profound, maybe one of life's toughest experiences, grief. Have you ever felt, like you weren't grieving the right way, or maybe struggled finding words for someone else going through it? Well, today's deep dive is all about Megan Devine's incredible book, It's Okay That You're Not Okay. It's subtitled Meeting Grief and Loss in a Culture That Doesn't Understand. And our mission really is to unpack its insights, challenge some really common unhelpful ideas about grief, and look at a more compassionate way forward. For you listening, maybe you're grieving, or maybe you just want to support someone better.
It's such a crucial conversation. And Divine's perspective is unique. She was a psychotherapist, dealt with trauma for years. But then her own partner, Matt, died suddenly, tragically.
Mm.
And it just shattered everything she thought she knew. Even what she taught, she actually found herself being labeled resistant because her grief didn't fit the expected boxes, her big realization. Our whole cultural approach to grief is, well, basically broken. So we're going to explore that, how it affects us, and how we might build a more helpful, loving culture around loss.
Okay, let's unpack that brokenness. Because it really does feel widespread, doesn't it? Grief often gets treated like an illness, something that needs fixing. You hear it talked about as this short-term thing you should be over in a few weeks, that pressure to just get over it.
Absolutely. And the impact is, well, it's huge. It leads to judgment, shame, people feeling dismissed. Devine writes about this collective experience. She says, every one of us had felt judged, shamed, and corrected in our grief. Stories of being told to get over it, put the past behind you, stop talking about them.
Yeah.
But a key thing is, this cultural stuff adds suffering on top of the actual pain of loss. It tells you you're doing it wrong.
And a big part of that pressure, I think, comes from how Kubler-Ross's stages of grief get misused. People see them as this mandatory checklist you have to go through in order to denial, anger, bargaining.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Devine points out Kubler-Ross herself later regretted framing them that way. People mistook them as linear, universal. They were meant to normalize things, to validate the messiness, not create some kind of rigid cage for grief. Your journey is yours. It won't be neat.
Yeah, not a neat path at all.
And beyond that misunderstanding, there's also this deep-seated culture of blame and this intense need to avoid pain. Think about it when something terrible happens. How often do people immediately look for someone or something to blame?
Oh, all the time. She should have, or he shouldn't have.
Right. And Devine, referencing Brené Brown's work, explains this isn't really about finding truth. It's psychological protection. Blame is a way to, discharge discomfort, discharge pain. And it maintains this illusion that we're in control.
That if I just do everything right, bad things won't happen to me kind of thinking.
Precisely. But life just isn't like that, is it? Bad things happen. Randomly, sometimes.
And that need for control, that avoidance of pain, it feeds right into what Devine calls the cult of positivity. This relentless pressure where, wellness and happiness are the only acceptable states. Being okay is the goal. Barbara Ehrenreich called it the tyranny of positive thinking after her cancer experience. It's this pressure to find the silver lining even when your world is just gone.
Yeah, it implies if you're still sad or struggling, you're just not trying hard enough to be positive, which is absurd. And that's why so many well-intentioned words of comfort just fall flat or even hurt, because the core insight here is grief is not a problem to be solved. It's not a disease to cure.
Right, it just is.
Exactly. Devine uses this really stark analogy. She says, stubbing your toe hurts, but having your foot ripped off by a train also hurts. Differently, it's not diminishing any loss, but it highlights that while all grief is valid, crucially, not all grief is the same, we need to stop comparing.
That makes so much sense. And it explains why those platitudes like everything happens for a reason or this was meant to be feel so wrong. They try to impose meaning where for the griever there might just be senseless, awful pain.
Totally. One of Divine's students, Drew West, said it so powerfully. I'm tired of hearing there is a reason for your death, for my heartbreak. It will never make sense.
Devine calls these phrases lies that never feel good. They just dismiss the reality of the loss.
So if that's the broken model, what's the alternative? Well, this leads us to Divine's new model of grief. It's a real shift. It moves away from fixing or overcoming towards understanding that loss gets integrated, not overcome.
Integrated. What does that mean exactly?
It means it becomes part of you, part of your story, part of your life going forward. It's not about getting back to normal or finding closure. It's about finding a kind of third path, a middle way. You're not denying the grief, but you're also not drowning in it forever. You learn to carry it.
Okay, so carrying it, integrating it, that distinction is huge. She says you can't solve grief, but you don't have to suffer. Can you unpack that a bit?
Yeah, it's a game changer. The pain, the actual ache, the missing them, that's a healthy, normal response. It's natural. It's okay to feel it. The suffering, though, often comes from external stuff like feeling judged, dismissed, unsupported, or from fighting against your own natural feelings.
Okay. So the goal isn't to stop the pain, which is impossible.
Right. It's to support the pain, acknowledge it, allow it, and then try to adjust the suffering by seeking understanding, connection, and self-compassion.
So if we can't solve it, what can we actually do with our grief? What does Devine suggest?
She gets really practical here, which I appreciate. First, she talks about the importance of right timing for any kind of resource. She's super honest that she hated most grief books early on, especially if they talked about rebuilding or moving forward.
Yeah, I can imagine that would feel totally alien when you're in the thick of it.
Exactly. The point is, your needs change. What feels helpful today might not tomorrow, and vice versa. You have to listen to yourself.
That leads into something I found really helpful. The Great Grief Experiment. What is that?
It's basically about becoming an observer of your own grief, with curiosity, not judgment, like a scientist gathering data.
Gathering data on
Yeah.
yourself.
She suggests just logging what you notice. Simple observations like went to the store, crowded, saw someone I knew, felt awful, overwhelmed, too many memories, felt exposed, no judgment, just noticing.
And what do you do with that data?
You start to see patterns. Then you can make two lists. Wellness, things that make you feel even slightly saner, more grounded, and worseness, things that make you feel crazier, more overwhelmed.
So it becomes like a personal compass.
Exactly. It gives you some agency back. You can start to identify what actually helps you specifically and maybe steer towards those things, even in small ways.
That makes sense. It's practical. Now, what about the physical side? People talk about grief brain. Is that real?
Oh, absolutely real. Devine talks a lot about the cognitive impact. Memory goes haywire, attention span shrinks. Even simple tasks like counting change can feel impossible.
Wow.
She shares her own experience, like she used to read constantly, then suddenly she's putting keys in the freezer, forgetting her dog's name.
It's good to hear that normalized because the exhaustion, mental and physical, can be immense.
Totally normal. It's
Yeah.
not you failing, it's your system under incredible stress.
Mm-hmm.
Her advice, don't fight it head on, adapt. Outsource your memory, she says. Sticky notes everywhere, multiple alarms, phone reminders. Basically, give your brain a break.
That's smart. And what about anxiety? Grief and anxiety seem to go hand in hand for many people.
Yes. Devine talks about how her own anxiety actually vanished for a while before her partner died, then just skyrocketed afterwards. She calls anxiety an addictive drug, and it gets more powerful when you know firsthand that terrible, unlikely things really do happen, and you couldn't stop it.
That feeling of powerlessness must fuel it.
For sure. Your brain goes into hyper-alert mode, trying to prevent the unpreventable.
So any tools for managing that anxiety?
She offers a few really grounded ones. One is breathing specifically, making your exhale longer than your inhale. It physically calms your nervous system.
Yep.
Simple, but effective. Another is tending the organism. I love that phrase. It just means basic physical self-care. Eating, sleeping, moving gently, treating your body kindly because it's going through a biological shock.
Tending the organism. I like that. It sounds gentler than self-care.
Right. And finally, a mindset shift. Presuming a skilled response. Basically trusting yourself. Telling yourself, I trust myself to handle what comes up, or I trust myself to ask for help when I need it.
Instead of predicting catastrophe.
Exactly. It's about cultivating trust in your own capacity, even when you feel fragile.
Underneath all these tools, though, there seems to be this theme of kindness to self.
Absolutely fundamental. There's a beautiful quote from Peter Pouncey. Let me be to my sad self hereafter kind. Self-kindness means allowing the pain without judging it, giving yourself permission to say yes to what helps and a firm no to what doesn't, even if it feels awkward or goes against what others expect.
Treating yourself like you'd treat a beloved friend who is hurting.
Precisely.
Devine also asks, what does art have to do with anything? What's her take on creativity and grief?
It's not about fixing anything. Art, writing, making things, it's not a cure, but it's a way of tending to the grief, giving it shape, giving it voice, especially when words fail.
Like making space for it.
Exactly. She quotes a student, Grace, who said, writing didn't fix me. It let me begin to honor myself, my own experience, and my own broken heart. Art becomes a container, a place where the messiness is allowed and honored.
That's beautiful. And it links back to that idea of integration, not fixing, which also changes how we think about recovery, doesn't it?
Completely. Forget getting back to normal. Devine uses this amazing analogy of mine restoration. She talks about landscapes destroyed by mining, seemingly beyond repair, but with patient work, new life does emerge.
But the scars are still there.
Yes. She says, if you know how to look, you can always see the ravages underneath new growth. The land heals, the heart heals, but recovery isn't erasure. It's about finding your own image, staying true to who you are now, living the life that remains, carrying the loss but not being defined solely by it. You're shaped by it, but new growth happens around it.
That feels much more real, more honest. Okay, let's shift gears a bit. What about supporting others? This is where so many of us struggle. Friends, family, they want to help.
Right. But as Devine says, there's this catch-22. Friends want to help, grievers want support, but no one gets what they want. Often, the help backfires.
Why does that happen so often?
Part of it is that cultural gag order on telling the truth, but how bad it feels. People aren't comfortable hearing the raw pain. There's a great quote from Laurie Krug. Do not start any sentences with the phrase, at least, for you will then witness my miraculous transformation into grief warrior.
Huh. Yeah, the at least statements. At least you didn't suffer. At least you have other kids. They never land well.
And never. They minimize the specific loss right in front of you. They invalidate the pain. It shuts down connection.
So if you're the one grieving, how do you handle those well-meaning but unhelpful comments or advice?
Devine is really practical here. Boundaries are key. Use clear, calm statements like, I appreciate your interest. I'm going to live this the way that feels right to you, and I'm not interested in discussing it. Full stop.
That takes courage, but I can see how necessary it is.
And then you can redirect. I'm happy to talk about something else, but this isn't up for discussion. It may be the most important piece of advice. Discern who deserves to hear your story.
Meaning, not everyone gets access.
Exactly. Not everyone deserves to hear your grief. Not everyone is capable of hearing it. Your grief is precious. You get to choose who you share it with. Protect it.
Okay, so flip side, what about for those of us offering support? What's the best way to show up?
Devine's advice is simple but profound. Show up. Say something. And that something can absolutely be, I have no idea what to say, and I know I can't make this right, but I'm here. Honesty is way better than cliches.
So acknowledging the awkwardness is okay.
More than okay. It's validating. Also crucial, don't compare griefs. Don't make it about your loss. Instead, ask questions about their experience. Be curious about them. Show up. Listen. Witness. Don't try to fix. Presence is the gift.
Presence, not solutions. That's powerful.
And one other huge source of support Devine highlights is finding a community of fellow grievers.
Other people who just get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She shares this poignant realization about a friend, Aaliyah, thinking, the only reason I know a lot of people in my life is because someone is dead.
Yeah.
It's not about bonding over tragedy necessarily, but finding that kinship and recognition. Dr. Pauline Boss says, sadness is treated with human connection.
Finding your tribe.
Yes, because while it's true, you are alone in your grief. No one feels it exactly like you. You are not alone in that aloneness. Finding others provides companionship inside loss. And Devine argues this connection is one of the best protectors, not of recovery, but of actual survival. Having people who can just be with you in the awfulness.
So wrapping this up, the core message really comes back to that title, doesn't it? It truly is okay that you're not okay. Grief isn't something to fix or speed through. It's part of life, part of love, something to be carried, to be integrated into a life that, yeah, looks different now.
Absolutely. And maybe the final thought to leave you with, something Devine offers that's really provocative, is this. Some things cannot be fixed. They can only be carried. It challenges everything we think about strength, doesn't it? It asks us, what does it mean to build a life in what feels like an obliterated place? How do we hold both the destruction and the possibility of new creation? Finding courage, maybe, not by denying pain, but right there in the middle of our vulnerability, carrying the loss and the love forward.
That's a powerful place to pause. We really invite you, listening, to think about your own relationship with grief, your own, or how you approach others. Maybe seek out perspectives like Devine's that choose truth over easy answers, and really foster that genuine human connection. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.